This is the VRE data system, virtual radiology environment. And what I'm going to show you now is how the upload of new data sets occurs via a folder in the system that can be controlled remotely, and users can be limited in regards to who has access over the network to that folder for uploading data sets. The first thing we'll do is identify the data sets we would like to upload. In this case, we'll copy the first file here into a folder, VRE Data General Inbox. The VRE system will pick up that file as a general inbox item, run it through an anonymization process, and then consume it into the system, much like a PACS would. Let's look at the initial header information. You can see here the name is a last name, first name is the patient name, but we'll look at the full header. You can see here again that 1010 is last name, first name, patient ID 1020 is PID 3, and we'll get the study UID to verify that the image doesn't exist in the system yet, although I have to move quickly because it's been reading it. Oh, it already got consumed. It's in the process of generating a thumbnail. Let's move on to the second file. Here's the second file that has not been uploaded to the system yet. We'll view the image information. This file actually has the same name, PID 3, but a different study UID. I'll grab that study UID before I copy this file into the system. Verify that last file has a thumbnail generated, which it should by now. Yes, there it is. And we'll look for this new study UID that has not been uploaded yet. Okay, there's no data in the archive. I'll come over here to the database, also verify that the files do not yet exist in the database. Through the various tables that index all the information around the DICOM header. There's no data available for that study. That in this case, the study is one file, just for the sake of the example. I'll grab that second file, copy it into the system, and let the VRE system consume it. The VRE system has an anonymizer process, and a parser process, and a thumbnail generator. Now, the reason those are separate processes is that many customers often have data sets that have been anonymized in-house before they load them into the system, and they're comfortable with what those patient names and identifiers are. So we can use a general, there is a root level general inbox where data goes. It's actually a root general inbox where data that's pre-anonymized can be placed, and then the system will consume it without modifying any of the values in the DICOM header. But for data sets that either are not, that may or may not be anonymized, you're not sure, there's a different inbox under the folder, subfolder VRE data. So it first goes into a base, the flow of the data would be the following. First it goes into folder A, the files are anonymized, they're moved into a secondary folder, folder B, and then the files are consumed in the system from there and then pulled into its own internal archive. If the files are known to be anonymized ahead of time, or for some reason the customer does not want them touched, there is the folder B essentially that will not modify the data sets before they're read into the VRE system. It's an option that's available to customers. Probably large vendors have a lot of data sets that are pre-anonymized or may have been anonymized but given values that they want to be able to search on, etc. And then there's a thumbnail service that reads through the most recently added files and creates the thumbnail. Now if we go into the system, that's the study from the file that we loaded. We should see that it's available, and probably the thumbnail's been generated already. Not quite yet. We'll look at the database to see if everything's in there, and everything is. The system has already parsed the DICOM header. You can see that the patient name has now been anonymized. The patient ID, the accession number is also anonymized. But the original study UID is there so that we can find it. We could go check one more time. The thumbnail should be ready any moment. Almost. And while these files are being processed, we can look through and see that every DICOM tag that exists in the DICOM header, the original DICOM file, is archived in this database table, and that allows for fast searching throughout the system. And there are many other relationships that are generated across the database. As you can see, there are multiple tables, etc. Okay, now the thumbnail's been generated, which you can see. It's kind of a dark image, but the thumbnail's entered. So you can see within minutes, at least, within less than a minute, an individual file is consumed in the system. Each of the files are indexed fully, so every DICOM tag is parsed into the system.